I think it's the help of Greg is very good to recognize our specific elements of the strongest elements of the city, but also the opinion that you are a part of a greater system. The economic borders are not stopping with the Sea of the Hague, or the economic power is much more powerful than just the borders or the cities. I think it's very helpful to recognize the cities that you are part of a greater system.
Okay, good. And Greg, I mean, do you think that's something that maybe isn't being seen so clearly in the Netherlands, but maybe might be a really interesting hook for international investors?
What I'm really saying is exactly your point, that what you have here is a single metropolitan property system with areas of specialization that in this case are individual cities with very specific world-class assets, that the combination of which is invisible in most analytical data. And so they don't appear in the way they should appear. Now, London has 33 boroughs. They all have their own planning systems. Every metropolitan area in the world is made up of different local governments. The Dutch G4 is no different. It's just that the decision to cooperate, I think, involves them saying the 4 cities together are stronger than any of the cities are on their own, particularly in this market. Now, it might be different in tourism, or it might be different if you're thinking about retail, or it might be different if you're thinking about some things where localization brings advantages. But anywhere where there are advantages of scale, and property investment is an example of that, the advantage happens at the level of the single region, which you can travel across very quickly, 35, 40 minutes. What you can get within that single time zone, the advantages of scale are critical to the property investor, and that's why I think this is important. And that's why it's great that the 4 cities do work together, and you see them here.
I mean, working together on this particular way of investment and acquisition internationally, in fact, I mean, it's another fact of life that there's some competition between the cities, and there will be in the future, and that's okay. I mean, we do acquisition on specific clients, or and as long as we acknowledge it and just keep this cooperation going on like this, that's okay. So I don't think there's a big next step on a new kind of political elements or whatever. We do it just a step ahead every time again.
Competition can drive innovation as well as price, as we know, Richard. So competition can be a good thing in a disciplined cooperation.
In terms of the projects that you're running, how, for international investors to get involved, at what stage do they need to approach the city? How does that work?
I think they have to involve as early as possible, because, you know, we are not thinking about real estate, we're thinking about making a city. And making a city is about functions, it's about how the city will act and how the people will live in it. So we're inviting people to think with us about what kind of function will get into these places and what kind of real estate that needs. And so when you're thinking about, on this way, about a city, you have to be involved very early and not in a later state. And when you're thinking about working together with your old cities, I think it's also a part of communication, because there's a lot of interaction between those cities, also between the universities in R&D things. But we're talking almost always about the differences in the city. So I think we have really an effort to make about the communication.
And you mentioned as well that there was going to be, that you were changing some of the planning areas, or is that something that then will extend across to the other cities, so that if an investor is looking at investing in the Randstad or the G4, or that then they will know, okay, there's one set of rules for all cities, or do you think that's a step too far?
You asking me?
I am.
I think that will be a step too far. I think so. That will be too difficult. But there is a kind of practical thing. I think there will be a shortage on high quality venues. And so we have to organize our options, which we have, to present it very well to the market as a total. So they can make their work very well and Because if we go for ourselves, we do not have enough venues, I think.
We have a lot of innovation at this moment in the combination of take care of the elderly people in a mixed form of social and medical assistance. So we also have to create a situation that the housing they're living in can manage this kind of technical understanding and help they need. And this is what we need in the cities, not only elderly houses and younger, but also mixed forms, because it's not only technical, it's not only social, but it's also a little bit of the help of their neighbors. And maybe you can use the younger people and the older people together. That's what's also mixed use of the city.